It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.
Hello and welcome to Jenna Custom Toys channel. Today, Bruce will show you how to mold and cast a human-shaped figurine. Also with a basic lesson on how to vent a mold. Let's get started, shall we?
Hello, holiday hobbyists and resin crafters. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Bruce from Jenna Custom Toys, and today I'm going to show you a simple way to make humanoid figure castings, mold and all. I'm going to try to keep as quick as I can because I know I'm long-winded. If you get a chance, you can check out my eBay page at Jenna Custom Toys on eBay. That's where I sell things like this. This is a custom that I made, and that's what we're making tonight. Not this particular doll, though. We're going to be using the reusable molding compound tonight that I showed you a few videos ago. I'll put a link of that in the description, how to make it and how to use it. But you don't have to use it for this technique. You can use your UMO 30. Any silicone molding compound will work with your resin combo. If you're using white resin, clear resin, doesn't matter. It's all the same way to make the mold. So without any further ado and me running my mouth, let's get started. I just want to point out one thing. Yes, I am wearing the same shirt that I wore in my last video because it's the same day. You'd be surprised how people pick that out. Anyway, let's get started. See what we got. Okay, getting started is really easy. All you need is the figure that you want to cast, a red Solo cup, a glue gun, and of course the molding compound of your choice, which could be an UMO 30, any silicone molding that you'd want to use for this. Today we're going to be using my reusable molding, which we'll get to here in a minute. So the first thing we want to do is get our original ready. Now what we're going to do is we're going to glue this inside this cup like that so it's standing up. And the bottom is actually going to be the top of the mold. When we're all said and done, the mold's going to be this shape. So this will be on the bottom. We'll pour it through the feet. Now, in order to pour it through the feet, we have to look at our mold and how we want to design it. Here, this will be easier. Here's our cup. And he's in the inside of the cup. Okay, now like I said, when we make the mold, this will be the bottom. But when we're done, it'll be the top. That's what you're going to pour into. So if we glue his feet down to the bottom of the mold, we'll see, imagine, let's turn it upside down so I can show you what I'm going to do. It's just easier to show you this way, I feel. Okay, so, and I messed up my picture. Let's do it this way. Okay, so if we have, this is your mold sitting straight up. Imagine the mold is done, it's complete. You're going to pour in through here. And the compound is going to come down. It's going to come down through the leg, into the head, fill up the head, work its way up the shoulders, up the body, up the arms, hopefully. But wait, if it gets up to here, you could trap air in there. Here and here are the two places you're going to trap air in this type of a figure. Now, your figure might be different. So you're going to want to study your figure and picture that liquid coming up and make sure it always has a way to escape. And eventually we want the air to escape into the legs and come back out this leg here or this leg here, both of them, depending on, like I said, it depends on what you're molding. But a basic human figure like this, we're going to make a vent here. There's two ways to do it. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to make a vent here between this hand and this thigh and between the tip of this weapon and his shin. So that way any air will be pushed up through there, come through his hand, through the vent, into the leg, and out of the model. Same on this side. It'll come up through the gun, and then it'll cross over here where we're going to make the vent, and it'll go up through the leg, and you have a full model. Now, here's what it looks like when you're done. I've taken a liberty to go do one. This is what your hot glue is for, too. Now, here's one that I've already vented. I hope it comes up on the camera. As you can see here, I made a bead of glue right here, attaching the hand to the thigh. That can be dremeled off whenever I'm done. Same here. Hot glue from the tip to that. Now, I always use a low temperature hot glue, one of these little bitty guns. I don't use a high temperature because with these kind of masters, I don't want to ruin my master. Any hotter than this, you stand a chance of melting your master. So since that's done, now we're going to glue our figure to the bottom of our Solo cup with our low temperature hot glue. And that's really easy. We're just going to put some on this foot, some on this foot, and then right to the bottom of the cup, centering as best I can. I'm just going to wait 5 minutes for that to dry. Okay, it's only been about 2 minutes, but that is ready to dry. As you can see, he's set there at the bottom of the cup. All we got to do now is add our molding compound. Now, this is what I was saying. I'm using my reusable molding compound, which there'll be a link in the description of how you can make and use it. I've already done a video on that, so I'm going to make it quick. But any molding compound you want to use, it does the exact same way. So I have my molding compound. Now I'm going to fill it up. I'm just going to pick a place off to the side. Now I'm doing what's called a high pour. It's not really necessary with what I'm using, but if you're using Umu 30, you want to do a high pour. It stretches the air bubbles out of it. You don't want to get a lot of air bubbles in your mold because it'll ruin your casting. So I'm covering them up. There goes the head. I'm going to go, well, since I got a lot of compound, I'm going to go right up to the brim on this. And those air bubbles will work their way out. I'm not much worried about it because I've had good experiences with this in the past. Now all I got to do is wait for this to solidify, and I'll show you how to cut and pour it. Okay, well, it is time to open this up, and as you can see, I'm up here in the corner because a friend recommended to me that I should put my ugly face on my work. So, all right, this isn't going to work. Let's change this camera around a little bit. Clink, clink, and mirrorize, and there we go. We're going to cut this mold open, and like I said, it's standard procedure for any kind of silicone mold you're using. I'm just going to make a couple notches here on my cup. Try to hold it under the camera. The angle just makes it a little difficult. I'm just making a couple notches. Go around, make your notches, and then peel it like a banana. Peel it right off. It's been about 2 hours for this particular molding compound. Luckily, it was a nice cold night, so I put it outside. So it was able to get... this is my reusable molding compound. It's not Umu 30. Umu 30 would take like overnight, I think. Let's get rid of this. And you see, like we did before, here's the feet. And I think I need a new knife. I'm going to get a new knife. Alright, I found a better knife. And you're going to hear my furnace in the background. I'm not going to bother cutting it because we're in the middle of something. Peel off the hot glue. Came right off. And now picture, here's the feet. You see the feet are pointing towards me, which means I want to go and match the seams best I can down the side. So my first cut is going to be right here. I'm just going to make a gentle cut through it, and I want to trace down about an inch or two on my master, spreading this apart. It works the same for other silicone moldings. Just to get it started. I have to be a little extra careful with this. This molding compound is a little less pliable than what you guys are probably used to. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the same on the other side just to get it started. Just trace down the model. I don't want to scratch up my master, and that's kind of tricky too. I don't want to scratch up my master because that's a valuable figure. And then in between the legs, same thing. I'm just going to get in there. I'm using an X-Acto knife for this because I really don't want to screw this up. Spread it apart a little bit, and I'm going to just keep doing the same thing I just did, back and forth. Cut down the leg, turn it around, spread it apart gently so we don't bend or don't rip the mold. Go down about just as far as I did on the other side. Take care of the center. It's hard to see and film this at the same time. Cut across. Now, as you can see, I'm equally down all three places: the left side, right side, and the middle. So far, it's coming out good. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, because it's kind of right now more important for me to see. But I'm reaching the hands right now, and I'm trying to cut them out without tearing my molding compound. And honestly, this is a lot easier to do if I was using Umu 30. This compound takes a little bit of practice not to screw it up. And I have screwed it up in the past. Heck, I might even screw it up tonight. Who knows? I leave my mistakes in, and I show you how to fix that in case you guys have the same problem. So I'm down to the hand on this side. I'm just going to trace the edge of the hand, being very, very careful not to scrape it. And then the spot between the arm and the body is a very hard part to trim, especially the first time. Now, if you can see, it already started to rip here a little bit. That's okay. I can still use that. I'll catch underneath that. Still tracing the body. Now, I'm hoping if you're using Umu 30 or a better silicone rubber molding compound, this won't happen to you. I know I can do this and it's still going to be okay. I might have a little flaring that I have to clean off when I make my final casting. But I also know the limits to this is what I can afford to screw up and not. So right now I'm just trying to concentrate and get it down the body line, which I think I've succeeded in doing so. Separated the arms. Okay, let's see if we can remove this baby. Oh, I have one more cut because of the way I did this. This is that piece between the arm and the leg. I want to make sure there's a clean rip there. Clean cut, clean rip, whatever you want to call it. And gently, gently, gently pull the guy out. Takes a little bit of practice, a little trial and error, especially when you're using this molding compound because it's a lot softer than Umu. Okay, now if you remember, this guy had a gun or a weapon. I don't think you're allowed to say gun on YouTube, but I don't really care anymore. It's stuck in there, but I could pop it out easily. Now I'm gonna look at my master, and it's got a little scrap right there of molding compound. That's really not going to hurt my casting. It actually got a big bunch here in between. That's the hardest part, is between the arm and the body. That's the hardest part. And you see there's a big chunk stuck in there. That means whenever I cast this, that's going to be a big chunk for me to remove. It is a giant pain in the butt, but my Dremel tool will take care of that whenever I make the final casting. So I'm actually going to let this slide, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. So now I got my mold. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to line up the seams perfect. Now, if this was Umu 30 or a hard silicone, I would say just put some rubber bands around it. But since this is the reusable molding compound that I use masking tape. And I'll tell you why. Because masking tape doesn't cut into my mold. If I put rubber bands around this particular mold, they will actually cut into it. Imagine a piece of warm Jell-O. You squeeze it too hard, it breaks apart. But that's what the rubber bands will do. If I say gum bands, I apologize. I said in my last video, I'm from Pennsylvania. We call them gum bands here. It's amazing how many people didn't know what that meant. But yeah, we're not using rubber bands today. But on your mold, if you're using a different silicone, a harder silicone, you can use rubber bands. So this one is ready to pour. So let's get our stuff together and pour it, and then I can go to bed. Give me a minute. Okay, so I got everything I need here ready to go. I got my clear resin. We're using Amazing Clear Cast, part A and B. We're going to mix that together. Just do it like this. Now, Amazing Cast is pretty viscous. And I'm going to show you how to make these castings without using a pressure pot. Even though I have done a pressure pot video before, but I need to get these done pretty quickly. So, part A into my little cup here. It's really thick. It's kind of cold in my basement tonight. Kind of cold in my basement. And the colder it is well, this one's not going so bad. The colder it is in your environment, the more viscous this stuff gets. That's why, I'll get both parts in there. That's why I'm going to show you a little trick that I've showed you before, but in case you haven't watched the other video, I'm going to let this sit in hot water in my little coffee cup here. Before I mix it up, I'm just going to let it sit there for a few minutes. Let's say 5 minutes. I will skip ahead, and then we're going to mix it up and go from there. It's the 5 minute later song, 5 minutes later. All right, it's been like 5 minutes or so. This has been soaking in there. Take it out. I'm going to wipe the water off. You don't want to mix water with any kind of resin whatsoever. And I'm just going to give it a quick stir. And I can tell by looking at it, there's no swirlies in it. I'm using clear cast tonight. You can't do this with white resin, by the way. White resin, you mix it your own way. Tonight we're using clear cast. Yeah, we look good. No bubbles in it. And then I'm going to pour my molds. As you can see, I have a second mold here. I made that off camera. Here's the one we were working on the first time. And I'm going to fill the mold. Very slow stream. Go down the leg like I explained earlier. And I'm going to take a pause. I poured probably a little less than half of that. And give it a little bit more. Here's the second mold. I'm going to pour that too on camera. Why not? You can see the differences in these molding compounds. The one I'm pouring right at this minute is about 2 years old. The other one that I poured first, I just made in my last video. And you can see how it got darker. It gets darker. You use it 2 or 3 times. It starts getting dark and you can't see through it. So I poured about half of each one of these molds. Probably a little more on the right here. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bounce it. And that should get rid of my air bubbles. I'm bouncing it to the front so the air bubbles gets out of the chin. Because a lot of times when you do an action figure or something like that, you get a big air bubble on the chin. And that's what I'm trying to get rid of now. And then I'm going to pour a little bit more. Oh, a little fast, little fast, little fast. Slow down, Brucey, slow down. Because we have those arms to fill up. And it's a little bit tedious. This is much harder to do with white resin. It takes 10 minutes to cure. But we're using clear resin tonight. White resin works the same way. You just have to work quicker. That's why I like making stuff out of clear resin, because it gives you more time. It gives you more time. I'm going side to side, just trying to get that resin in every spot that I have, especially the hands. Because when I'm doing this particular figure, the hands don't like to come out very well. And now I'm going to top it off. It should fill out the legs. Little bit by little bit. It is coming up there. Like I said, don't be in a hurry when you're working with the clear resin. It's a little more challenging to do it with the white resin. But after a little bit of practice, you can nail that too. This guy here is almost completely full. So I'm going to put excess up here too, because after a while, any air bubbles in there will work its way out, but you have some excess in there to replace the air bubbles and you're good to go. This guy is taking quite a while to fill though. I'm going to give it a little squeeze just to see what's going on. Am I losing it? Nope, not losing the resin. I might have misjudged a little bit. So I'm just going to slowly pour until it fills up both legs. This guy is taking extremely long, but it's not leaking out. I might just be a little anxious and in a hurry. Don't ever be in a hurry when you're working on clear resin. Oh, there it is. It's coming up this leg. I'm going to pour it in this side of the leg to top that off, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pour extra, give a little reservoir for when those air bubbles do come up. I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay. So there's a little reservoir. We'll cut that off later. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So I have both molds filled now. Took a lot longer than I thought it would. We look good. We look good. Like I said, I'm making 2. It's for a customer on my eBay store. Jenner Custom Toys on eBay. Yeah, I like to be a little cheesy sometimes. Now you see right here, where's my pointer? Lost my pointer. Now you see right here, there's an air bubble working its way up. That will come up and go away with the clear resin, but you don't want that in white resin. It looks pretty good to me. We're going to let this sit till tomorrow morning, and then I will continue with the video. Tomorrow, the same bullshit tomorrow. Sorry. Okay, my clear resin has had plenty of time to dry. Cure, whatever you want to call it. You can see I actually made 2 of these. I did one off camera. So let's open it up and see what we got. Once again, I use masking tape because if I use a rubber band, it actually cuts into this particular molding compound. It won't do that if you're using UMU 30. This is just what I chose to use today. But the basic structure and how to make this mold is the same. And someone keeps texting me. Probably going to get copyright strike for my texting notification, but I'm going to keep going. So I got all this masking tape off. We're ready to demold it. And, oh, one thing I did want to show you before I open these up. I'm totally expecting this, but I let it go because I know I can fix it. Here's one of the masters I took out. If you notice, like here by in between the arm, a big chunk of my molding compound stayed in there. Now, that probably won't happen to you if you're using the UMU, but if you are using my reusable molding compound, what I did wrong was I didn't leave it in the refrigerator long enough for it to solidify. So it was a little squishy when I cut it open. Now, me personally, I'm not much worried about it because I'm just going to trim out the excess with a Dremel tool. But you can see I'm picking this molding compound out. Any place there's molding compound, it's going to be on my casting. And I tell you right now, these castings are not going to be perfect. But with that said, let's open them up. Let's do this guy first. Now, I am destroying the mold because I don't care. Now, I'm sure if you have UMU 30, you'd be a lot more gentle and you wouldn't do what I'm doing right now. But I'm just tearing it out of there because I know I'm never going to get a second use out of this particular mold because it's just, look at it, it's all wonky. But that's okay because I can reuse it. Here's my casting. Still got molding compound on there. A little bit of flash on there, probably because I was in a hurry. Yeah, a little extra stuff. I'll have to Dremel that out. Let's do this one. Let's see what I got there while I'm opening this. You can look at that one. Same with this mold. I'm not going to reuse this mold. I will melt this down and make a new mold out of it. Same thing with this one as I was expecting because I was in a hurry. I'm not worried about this molding compound. Yeah, this is the one I showed you here where it's kind of closed up where the molding compound was. I actually put resin in there. But that's okay. I'm going to clean these up and I will be right back and we'll see what our final product is. I'm back. They're all nice and clean. I took them out, Dremeled out those areas I was telling you about. I took it outside because it makes a big mess whenever you Dremel this stuff. I had white powder all over me, all in my beard, my face, my glasses were covered. But I think they came out pretty nice. They're very nice and clear. Here, let me put this black thing underneath it so you can see it better. And yeah, they're sparkling nice. They're very nice. The bubbles and stuff we were worried about, you know, I didn't use a pressure pot. A lot of people say, oh, you have to use a pressure pot. You don't have to, especially if you don't have one. If you heat resin up like I showed you, they'll come out just like this. Now, the bigger the project, the more difficult that might be. But for these ones, I'm happy with it. They come out nice. Look at that. They just sparkle. That's that amazing clear cast stuff that I use. All right, hey, let's go to the outro, talk a little bit more about it, and we'll be out of here. Well, that's about the best way I can explain it to somebody. Hopefully a beginner can understand what I'm saying. You know, once again, about the molding compound, use whatever molding compound you want to. It works the same with white resin. Today, I just happen to be using the clear resin. But and here's the product one more time. I'm very happy with it. And well, here's the original. I haven't cleaned it yet, but here's the original. Very happy with it. I mean, the details come out really, really nice. I could see the cuts in the armor and everything like that. The gun come out nice, or weapon, whatever we're supposed to call it on YouTube without getting in trouble. I'm very happy with it. And I think the customer's going to be happy with it too. This particular product is available in Jenner Custom Toys on eBay. If you're interested, I'll gladly make you one. I make these to order. This is actually for a customer. And comes on a card. Like I said, if you check out the eBay store, you'll see it. And that's all I have to say about it right there. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I try to answer all the questions that come up, you know, If you skip through the video and you asked a question that I've already answered, I probably will ignore it. Happens a lot. But if you didn't skip through and you have some questions or suggestions, I'd love to hear it. Keep in mind, I do these videos to show you guys how to do things cheaper and effectively. And because there's a lot of better ways to do it. Like someone's going to say, oh, you need to use a pressure pot. I have a pressure pot. There's a bug floating around down here. I have a pressure pot, and I use it once in a while, but I learned I don't have to use it for these smaller items. I use a pressure pot for bigger items. I'd say anything bigger than this cup. That's my ringtone. Okay, sorry about that. Every time I do a movie, somebody always or a video. I keep calling them movies, too. I'm so old. So old. Every time I do a video, somebody always ends up calling me, and I took care of that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I said everything I need to say, and this is the outro. So, got him. It's gnat season. I'm down in my basement. I'm pretty sure I said everything I need to say, so I will catch you guys next time. If there's something you want me to teach you how to do, if I know how to do it, I'll show you my method. And when it comes to methods, there's so many different ways to have the same outcome. So just because one person says, just because I say one way, doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. Do what's comfortable for you. Experiment a little bit. That's how I got to the point where I'm at right now. I've experimented a lot. I know what works best for what I'm making. And we're all learning together still. I don't care if you've been doing this for 30 years and you're a so-called expert, or if you're just a holiday hobbyist. I'm here to share my knowledge and maybe learn off you guys too. So I'll catch you later. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. Leave a comment, like, and share, please. It really helps us out. Bye for now.
It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.